review of the Maamar so far. So the Maamar begins with the pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Tzena at the page here. Go out and see your daughters of Tzion. See the King Shlomo, referring to Hashem, with the crown that his mother crowned him on the day of his chasana and the day of the rejoicing of his heart. So obviously, the Melech Shlomo is just mentioned, that's the Eibishter, and the mother is Knesset Yisrael, one of the many terms by which Yidden are referred to in Shir Hashirim. As we mentioned, there's daughter, there's mother, there's obviously wife, there's Kala, there's friend, there's dove, there's my wholesome one, there's many references. They all refer to different dimensions out in our relationship with Hashem. And the mother relationship is something which Yidden, kavayochel, as it were, give to Hashem. As you pointed out, in marriage too, there are all these multi-dimensions to the relationship. In fact, much more than that too, but that as well. So, what's it talking about? What's this day? The day is Matan Torah. On the day of his chasna, that's Matan Torah. So that means that Yidden gave the Eibishter a crown on Matan Torah. That's what that medrash says. Now he brings a second medrash. It talks about 3 crowns, based on the pasuk Kadoshim to you, without repeating the pasuk again. But there are 3 crowns. They're called holy, and the Maamar explains holiness means transcendence, and a crown means transcendence. And what that means is, in one simple word, beyond. So there are 3 crowns. What's the story with the 3 crowns? Hinted to in the pasuk, which mentions the word holiness 3 times, actually 4, introductory and then 3 times. That is the Kodesh, 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 that the supernal angels coronate Hashem every day. And what does Hashem do? He takes 1 for himself, and 2, he bestows upon the head of his children. And that we're connecting to Matan Torah. Matan Torah, which is the first part, the pasuk we just brought, where it speaks of 1 crown. And the crown that Yidden confer, the mother, Yidden, so that's it's putting the 2 midrashim together. That's one of the 3 which Hashem takes, the other 2 he gives to us. This to be explained in the Maamar. So the first key in understanding the 3 crowns is, of course, the fact that there are 3 pillars, the Mishnah says, upon which the world stands. Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chesed. So, the point being that in all 3 Avodas, there needs to be the beyondness of them all. The 3 avodas can be done in a measured and limited way, but the avodah is that they should be crowns. Now we raised some questions. Why does it say Gemilas Chesed in the feminine and not Goimel Chesed? And why altogether invoke the word Gemila, which means to bestow, an unusual word, and not the usual word to give, simply to give. Nesina. And we find in Torah, Nasa in Titain talks about tzedakah and so on, talks about, it just expresses it simply in terms of giving. Okay, so again, the 3 crowns are the 3 pillars, the 3 avodas, which all have to be permeated with b'chol ma'odcha. And b'chol ma'odcha means with all your money, but it also means the Mishnah says in Brachas, with every measure that he measures you, good or not revealed good, nonetheless you serve him with equanimity the same way. And that means beyond limit. And even though he says that's referring in the B'chol Ma'odcha appears only in relation to the mitzvah of loving Hashem, but that is the foundation of all mitzvahs. So that's what we're up to now, Ois Gimel, chapter 3. Yeah. To understand all of this in greater detail. In the Avodah, so what's Avodah? Avodas a karbonis is karbonis. The bringing of karbonis in the Beis Hamikdash, that is the avodah. Quite simply, the Torah says to make a house, a mishkan for Hashem, and you shall serve him there. And what's the service there? It's karbonis. And likewise, the parallel today is davening, which were instituted in place of karbonis. Now, what's tefillah? Karbonis, just like karbonis, it's Allah milamata l'mayla. That's an ascent from below to above, man reaching out to God. Like the pasuk says in reference to Yaakov's dream, so the ladder was standing within the earth, and its top reached into the very heavens. And it goes on to describe how the angels ascend and descend. And the question is, angels first surely descend and then ascend. Their place is in heaven. They come down, they go back. How is it that in this vision, Yaakov sees Malachim ascending and then only descending? So Rashi has his answer, of course, at Pshuta Shel Mikra. Rashi answers that the angels that accompany him till now have left, and the angels from Israel, now he's leaving, and new angels are coming down to accompany him in his journey to Lavan. That's the answer at Pshuta Shel Mikra. The answer of Chassidus is that we're talking about davening. It's all connected to Yaakov's story as well, of course, but at any rate. So davening is ascent. We reaching out to Hashem and God responding, hence the angels ascend and descend. I think I've shared this, that everyone shared this in the early years, I think more than once even. And that is the Ruzhana, Rabbi Yisrael Ruzhana, the famous Rebbe, the founder of many Hasidic dynasties, including Sadiguria and others. So he, as a child, in Cheder would ask every question that Rashi would ask. He'd anticipate the question. As a 5-year-old. He was the quintessential 5-year-old. So the Rebbe, the Melamed would read the pasuk, and he'd ask the question, and the Melamed would say, good question, Rashi asks it, and give him the answer. When it came to this pasuk, he doesn't ask anything. So the teacher says, you don't have any question? He says, no. And the teacher says, the angels are going up and coming down. It should be the other way around. To which the child answered, it was a dream, a kasha, a dream. He had a kasha on reality. Yaakov is dreaming, he didn't have any questions. They say that the Rebbe was the same thing with the Rebbe as a child. This is just a hearsay. So,
can I just ask, I mean, Hashem is always at the highest point, so wherever you are, angel or not, you always start by wanting to go higher, no?
But angels are emissaries of Hashem.
I understand, but
so their point of origin is from above. They come down and they go back up.
Their point of origin for us is above, but not for the Eibusher.
Well, God's using the imagery of down and up. We're down and he's up. He describes it that way. So his angels start up there. They don't start here. If we're talking about up and down, then up is there and down is down. Down is here. Okay, so it goes on tefillah. So the answer of Chassidus is tefillah. Now, else you're suggesting something else, perhaps, that it's a deeper level, as we'll see in the Maamar. The deepest connection to God is taka down here. But then that would raise the question, so why go up if it's down here? But anyway, I think that's what you're referring to as well, right? Yeah, okay. So, continuing, so it goes on tefillah, and there are actually 4 rungs in the tefillah. There's many midrashim on the 4 rungs. Actually, there's another medrash that has the angels ascending without any rung, endlessly. That's the different golusim. They're different, not so much 4 rungs, but 4 general stages, which correspond also to the 4 components, the levels of tefillah, starting with Pesukei Zimra, even earlier, brachas medani, and culminating the Shmones. So this is the ladder of tefillah. Sheba Elim, Mebchinas Arza, Jew starts Arza deep into the earth. Eretz means earth. Arzo, the hay at the end, means like embedded in the earth. Shalamatam at its stam. That's below ordinary earth. That's how we start. We start quite at a simple, very simple level. We start waking up in the morning. Our first sensation is physicality and the needs of the body, etc. But that's where we begin, embedded in the bowels of the earth, as it were. But the B'chinas HaShamayim, but not just Shamayim, but Shamayim, deep penetrating deep within the heavens, Shalamayim Shamayim Stam, higher than ordinary heaven. That's what tefillah does. It connects us in this lowliest of places to the greatest possible height, to the very inner recesses of the divine of Hashem himself. As he goes on to say now, Vad Shaliyah, the tefillah, so much so that the ascent of tefillah, is to the very essence of Hashem himself. Like it says in Sifri and Medrash, Tefillah, the davening, who a love, we address God, we don't address his attributes, even though every line in Tefillah specifically is describing a different attribute of Hashem, etc. Not just that pasuk throughout davening. In the Kabbalah Svarim, including the Alter Rebbe Siddur, especially in Shemoneh Esrei, I don't think it's that in Shemoneh Esrei. So the Hashem's name is mentioned, but it's in the Kabbalah Svarim, Siddurim, I should say, the Kabbalah Siddurim. It's throughout davening. Hashem's name is written Yud Kei Vav Kei, not like it's represented in most Siddurim, just Yud Yud, because you don't want to publish that. It would give the Siddur tremendous kedusha and all the laws that apply to that. So you want to avoid the Siddur not being treated with the absolute covet. So the printers use the Yud usually not spell it out completely, but in the old Siddurim, it's printed out fully. So I'm telling you, in the Kabbalah Svarim, the Yud Kei Vav Kei has different vowels constantly throughout everywhere it appears. Sometimes all the comments and the segel. Why? It's Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's the Eibishter, but manifesting different attributes. Each tefillah is a different dimension in our multi-dimension relationship with Hashem. The whole point being that we engage God with the different components of who we are. We have many components and many dimensions, all reflective of Him. God wants at once a simple but complex relationship. Simple means it's essence to essence, complex in the sense that it pervade and unite and thread and embrace all the complexities and nuances of our persona. Notwithstanding that, says the Sifri, and this is the point, that who you're davening to, and it can get lost in the midas and the meditations of Kabbalah. Now you're meditating on this mid, on that mid, and forget talking about God, the Eibishter himself. It's you. You as you manifest through this, but Ikir is the you. That's what the Sifri is saying. Elov, to him, we're not davening to his attributes. Or Kamaiman is the statement, look in footnote 23, the Rivosh, Yitzchak ben Sheshes was a Spanish Makubal, a Talmud of the Ran, a famous quote, the Chassidus quotes in the Rechem Tzusach and many other places where he writes, he was a Makubal, and he writes like this, beautiful line, Ani mispal la za tinuk. I daven, and he's saying that every Jew ought to do this, like a child. La das za tinuk, like the mind or the connection of a child. And of course, a child, Eibishter is Eibishter. There's absolutely no intellectual analysis here, description, attributes, manifestation, essence, light, Eibishter, period. And it's amazing you don't have to educate a child and talk about that. You talk about Hashem, and yeah, sure, Hashem, and that's as direct and pure as it can get. And that's how a Yid has to daven, together with, and then the understanding of how God is revealing himself. Again, in our relationship, reflective in the marriage as well. The core essence is it's you, but that's not with your eyes shut. It's you appreciating every nuance of your expression. Vi'ad, so that's what davening is. Davening takes a Yid from arza, level by level, appreciation by appreciation, till a conscious connection to the Eibishter himself, culminating at Shemoneh Esrei. The Amida is this level of complete union. As he goes on to say now, the ascent of tefillah is in such a way that he unites with the Eibishter himself. So till then, the emphasis is we're talking about what God has done and appreciating his revelation and his creation. You know, it's all appreciating you. You're the artist of all of this, but we're still looking at what you have, what you produce. So it's a shared experience. You know, we're praising, appreciating, being inspired by what you've done, what you've given me. But Shmoneser is you, not what you've given me, just you. Absolute oneness. Which is why, that by the way, we are going to Larichas now, but it's strange. Chassidus asked the question, and Adam, you touched on this Motzei Shabbos. You know, we start off Shmoneser with, we can't even speak. It's Adonai Sfasei Tiftach Afi Agid Tilasecha. My Lord, you open my mouth and my lips will relate your praises. In this oneness, it's essentially silent. So then why praise? Just be silent. And moreover, there's a whole long list there of requests. Heal me, forgive me, grant me parnasa. How does that jive with this moment of absolute union? That's before, later, but not now. So Chassidus explains the essence of it being that because this is what you want. So in this union, we are deeply cognizant of the purpose of it all, and that's to reveal it here, lamata. So all these requests is really that's because that's what you want. But the very beginning is indeed silent. And the whole Shmoneser is in a almost inaudible whisper. So that's why he goes on to say second last line, that tefillah is meloshen hateifa klicheres. The word tefillah means, as the Mishnah says in Masechta Kelim, if someone coats a earthenware vessel, the subject matter there is earthenware vessels are subject to impurity only if the impure agent comes into the inside of the vessel. Unlike all other materials, if one of the 8 creepy crawling creatures that the Torah has deemed to convey a certain kind of a tumah, the Shemona Shrotzim, so by klicheres it's only on the inside, not the outside. Everything else, even if it touches the outside, the vessel becomes tummy. The question here is, in the Mishnah, if a person coats the earthenware vessel, and this tummy object, or person for that matter, touches the outside, is it, and it's not earthenware, it's something else, does it become tummy or not? Is it nullified to the vessel or not nullified to the vessel? That's the question. But the word used is teifel. So teifel means to join and become one. The halacha is that it does, and it's not subject to impurity. So tefillah means to really fuse and become one. It's a chiddush of Chassidus that tefillah means that. The simple meaning of tefillah is to supplicate. But Chassidus says it's more than please grant me my needs. The pnimius of it is the relationship, the attachment, the joining. A teifel, one who coats, attaches there's something to the right. Is that clear? Shepirusha is chabres heinis achtos. It means union. Chaver, friend, union. Yisachtos, oneness. Another meaning of the word tefillah. The tefillah, gam biloshin, tafel, tefillah, the same root letters of the word tafel. Now, even though that's a test and this is a taf, but we find that letters that sound the same, even externally, are interchangeable. So tafel means secondary, nullified. Tafel ubot latzmus is boder, that a yid is completely nullified to Hashem, ka'avda, like a servant. Next page, come the mother before his master. These are different levels in tefillah. So the zehu, all to say that what is tefillah? It's from below to above, where a yid, rung by rung, level by level, finally reaches this level of incredible unity and oneness with Hashem, as conveyed by all of the meanings of the words tefillah and the imagery of the ladder, the language of the pasuk, shamayma, and so on. So now we understand why this avodah is called a Torah, a crown by which we crown Hashem. Because what's davening, not simply at the pshat level, that's the halacha. The halachic simple level of davening is, if you have a need, ask God. That's the halachic definition of davening. And that actually is per need. If right now you don't feel anything, there's no obligation to pray. The essence of tefillah in halacha is when you need, so you have to know that the one who is the provider is Hashem. It's not even praise. The praise is before you ask. So first you praise. That's only menschlech. First you thank him for what you have and you ask for more. That's the halacha. The Rabbi says the ikar of tefillah, Chassidus says, is not that. It's not that that's not part of tefillah either. On the contrary, the needs are because since you wanted it, so I need these things. I need health, I need children, I need wealth. So the needs remain, but completely transformed is in terms not of what I need, but that's what you need from me. But the ikar of tefillah is tefillah is a connection to Hashem beyond limits, which means a connection to the Eibishter himself. Oneness with Hashem. Becoming one with Eibishter himself. So that's meant by the crown. Crown means beyond. Beyond what? Beyond the measured, rational, what am I getting out of this connection, relationship? Beyond that. It's the relationship itself, the connection itself. This is also reflected in the Gemara says. The Gemara says, it's actually Gemara Chagigi, but this statement's from the Zohar, that matat is a reference to matatron, which is one of the highest malachim, and even that's not his full name. His name is like the Eibishter, like it's similar to the Eibishter. So what is his job? He's quoted often. This is what he does. This is what he's busy with every day. He ties crowns to his master, the word koinoi, previous maamer, mitfilosein shel Yisrael, of the davening of Yidden. That's what he does every day. He takes our davening, our words, and he ties crowns, kavayochel, upon the Almighty's head, kavayochel. Or maybe not kavayochel. Ksarim daike. So crowns, yes, crowns, all to convey this idea of that Torah, the crown, the avoid of the Yid, of this essential bond. Because tefillah is at its apex, and that's the whole objective, is this crown higher than limit and rationale, which is symbolic of the head, of cheshbon, of gain, of so where are we going, what are we doing, what does this lead to? None of that. It's being one with Hashem. That's the end of what of avodah of tefillah. So likewise, the other two pillars of Torah, the way they ought to be experienced and observed is likewise beyond limit, but there's a difference. The difference between Torah and tefillah is we just finished saying davening is from below to above. Whereas the but the movement of the two pillars or lines literally of that's drawing down from above to below. As we'll explain. But even in these two movements, here too, we're going beyond limit. Now, tefillah, it's readily perceived because we're reaching a level of the Eibishter beyond the whole system. beyond the whole manifestation of attributes, a love. So that's, we understand. Rebbe says here too, as we will explain, even as we're talking about drawing godliness down into the world, here too, it's in a way of Kesser, crown beyond limit. Where is the beyond limit? He now goes on to explain. What's that all about? Pasuk says, Moishe Rabbeinu is telling the Yidden, from heaven, God let His voice be heard to you. What you're getting in Torah is a beyond limit, right? Torah is beyond creation, beyond the world, even the highest worlds. And that's what Hashem is giving you down here. Likewise mitzvahs, which is in brackets, all mitzvahs are this act of bestowal. Quite simply, we're fixing and benefiting and improving the world. Acts of kindness. Even the mitzvahs loisas are also to fix the world, to ensure that negative things aren't destroying it. Producing the wheat in the field is also part of that, is weeding the field. That's the mitzvahs loisas, the planting, that's the seeds. So we're drawing down godliness into the world. But what are we drawing down? We're drawing down a likus, ultimately, that's beyond the whole system of ishtalshalos. So we're not just really improving the world, not just making it a better place, we're making it a truly godly place. Like Chazal say, which every bar mitzvah boy quotes in his Maimer, al posek magid v'arav liYaakov. The posek says we say every day in davening. He relates his words to Yaakov, Chukov, his statutes, Mishpatov, his laws. And the question is, of course, they're his. His words, his statutes, his laws. Why stress the his? Dvarim, Chukim, Mishpatim. And says the Medrash, they're his. They're not just laws given to us that we should govern ourselves down here without killing each other and living harmonious lives and surviving. No, they're his words, meaning in these words and in these acts, these commandments, you draw me into your life, which is where I want to be, says God. So that's the his. Quoting the Medrash, what he himself does, these are my mitzvahs, I'm sharing me with you, he tells Yidden to do. The mitzvahs are God's mitzvahs. This is a big chiddush for us, that they're God's mitzvahs. At the simple level, they're not his, they're our mitzvahs. We need this to get Gan Eden, whatever the agenda is, to make the world a better place. It's all for us. The chiddush is, no, it's for him. And he wants his mitzvahs to be for us. And like every chiddush of Chassidus, it's in the Medrash. This Medrash we just quoted, Magid Varav Liyaakov. Yidei Ma'isa mitzvahs, Lamata. So when we do a mitzvah down here, what are we doing? Mamshichim es mitzvahs Hashem lamata. We are drawing down. This is what I do, Hashem says. And I want you to do what I do, because by doing so, you are bringing me into your life, which is what I desire. He said, moreover, I kind of gave the end game. There's a little nuance here. Let's go for it. No, okay, a nuance here. By doing mitzvahs down here, we actually add literally life force to the mitzvahs. What does that mean? Let's first see the quote. The famous teaching of the Mezritcher Magid. You said this based on the Zohar. The Pirush HaKos, the pasuk says like this. The pasuk in Parshas Acharei. We are told to do mitzvahs here, and the quote is Asher Yasa Oisam Ba'adam. These commandments were given that a person should do, and live by them. That's a simple meaning. These are the instructions by which we should live. So the Magid, based on the Zohar, says V'chai Bahem can be read and bring life into them. Bohem, into them. Meaning, when a Yid does mitzvahs, an incredible statement. We actually bring to the mitzvah, which is a divine commandment to begin with. But once we do it, something magical happens. We bring something to the mitzvah, we add this translation, chayis, this life force, vikiyim, and endurance, vishavus, and like it's a whole new creation. V'hainu, here's the reason. Because when the Yid does the mitzvah, what we touch in doing the mitzvah is the very master of the will, master of the will. Let me say the words, I will explain. is explained in my bottom of the begin with the words, when Yidden received the Torah, they said Nasa before Nishma, by putting Nasa before Nishma, this touches not just the will of God, but the master of the will. Beyond the limit, it's finished. And this Yid is Mamshech and mitzvahs. And what the means is that we started saying before we do the mitzvah. So if you take your reporter, a journalist, friends, and come with me to say that in the Seder Ishtalshalut, going to Bria, into Tzena, Asiya, there's Malachim on all of these levels. Interviewed Malachim in Asiya, and in Tzena, and in Bria, and even in Atzilus. And you'll ask them, what is mitzvahs? You're gonna get the answer like this, on deeper and deeper levels. Mitzvahs are beautiful and perfect ways to live and life. You'll get an answer which explains chesed and gevurah, a whole elaborate description in the midas and these beautiful properties and qualities. That's the take. As I said before, the simple level is mitzvahs are simply the instructions by which we live productive lives. But when a Yid does the mitzvah, what happens is, Hashem says, in the productive life, what I really want is I want to be part of your life. It's really about, again, the essential connection, the master of the will, not just the will itself. Another illustration, the famous Maimer, the famous Medrash. Bottom line is this: if you're taken for a tour of the palace, and of course there's the awareness this is the king's palace. But as you enter into the palace, starting with the stables, and then the gardens, and it's all glorious and magnificent. So you're taken for a tour, and this tour are the guides of the palace. They're the tour guides of the palace. So there's two ways to tour this palace. One is, wow, the stable, the garden. Of course, everybody knows it's the king's. But what's impressing you here is the incredible beauty and architecture and the art and the splendor, magnificence, color, and so on. Riches, wealth, art. As you progress deeper and deeper into the palace, the inner chambers, the beauty is richer and deeper. And you'll have a different guide for every single section because he's the expert to explain what you're looking at. And everybody's going, wow, and it's incredible, it's a great business. And it's true, it is magnificent. And then there is, in all of this, the beauty of it is that this is the king's palace. Otherwise, it has no value. The whole beauty is that it's yours. And that's the story there. There was one wise person that said, I want the king. If the king is present in all of this, good. If not, that's what happens in mitzvahs down here. The incredible effect, v'chai says the Maggid, based on the Zohar. And he does a mitzvah, he's not only simply expressing to a very beautiful, incredible revelation of Hashem, this mitzvah, the 613 extraordinary exquisite midas and the whole volume is written of what each mitzvah is and which level, what it accomplishes, etc. That remains. But for Chai Bems, he brings a whole new vitality to the mitzvah, which is only down here, because that's what Hashem desired to reveal and connect, lay bare his essence. It's only here. So it's only here when he does the mitzvah that is revealed that what's this all about, and that's what is beauty and glory. It's just simply one thing. What's this magnificent edifice? It's a place where you and I live. That's the point of it all. So he brings, in the words of the Maamar, the Baal HaRatzon, the master of the will, into the commandments, into the mitzvahs. And that is the true beyond limit. It's the Eibishter himself. Oy. Okay. The Oy is simply not because the Maamar is Oy, because it is already the time. The time is always a fight against the clock.